It is never just about the money. The real reason, Jesse Paul, people buy and sell real estate. The real reason most people actually move.
And I mean, like,
Jeremy Larkin here, host of the St. George Real Estate. I keep calling it St. George Real Estate Morning Drive. It's the Real Estate Morning Drive. It could be the Southern Utah Real Estate Morning Drive. It could be the Cedar City Real Estate Morning Drive.
Yep.
Quite honestly, it could be the U.S. Morning Drive. I got Jesse Paul in the studio.
good morning, everybody.
And, you know, yesterday was such a fascinating day in this 100 square foot area. Okay, well, probably more than 100. In this 300 square foot area that we're sitting in right now, Larkin Group headquarters, downtown St. George, at the corner of Tabernacle and University, we have the mural on the side that says "You belong here," because guess what? You do. In case you've seen the building, what's funny is usually, Jesse, when I tell people, "Oh, we have the building with the thing," they'll say, "Oh, we love the mural," right?
Yeah.
We had such an interesting experience yesterday. In the same 60-minute period, we had two different clients come in, and we're going to talk about those clients today. And the reason they came in, one of them preparing to sell a home and move,
Mm-hmm.
and lose a 2.25% mortgage rate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would someone do that? We'll talk about that. You're going to want to hang on, guys. Do not miss this whole show. And the other trying to get out of, and you know what I call it, Jesse? The car culture of Utah County.
Yeah, it's so busy up there.
Yeah, Utah County is a car culture. And we can talk a little bit more about that, right? And a couple who said, we're retiring in 2 years, but we're looking way down the road. Today, we're going to answer the question, why would you lose a 2.25% mortgage when you don't have to? And number two, as a seller, and why are buyers so afraid to integrate a realtor and a lender into the process early?
Well,
It's going to be fun. We're going to have some fun talking about it.
Not only buyers, but sellers do the same thing.
Yeah.
And at their own disadvantage.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will talk a little bit about the fact that realtors and lenders, our industry, we did it. We've done it. We created the situation for consumers. And this is something that I think consumers need to hear it from the mouth
I think it's
of
in
professionals.
every industry. I think it's a human nature thing.
Maybe. But I mean, definitely is a human nature thing. It definitely
I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about it until I'm actually ready.
Yeah. Guys, our show is always brought to you by our friends at Guild Mortgage, Chantry Abbott, his team. Amazing folks. And we love working with them. So if you're that buyer trying to queue up and you're saying, I look at it as a puzzle. And when you start with a puzzle, Jesse, and this will segue us into our conversation about, and I'm going to call them Bill and Stacey.
Bill and Stacey, okay.
Yep. All right. Because we're going to protect the innocent, protect our clients. Okay.
Gotcha.
If my parents love to do puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
I hate them.
My daughter does too.
Yeah.
She does 4 or 5 a year.
Oh yeah. 4 or 5. How about my parents were doing 30 a year?
Oh my gosh.
4 or 5 a year. Give me
And
a break, dude.
do they frame them?
That's like kindergarten level.
Wow.
No, they don't frame them. Good grief. You don't want to throw that crap on the wall. Anyway, but maybe some people do. Okay. So,
My daughter does.
yeah. Okay. Well, bless her heart, right? I do love your daughter. So my parents love a puzzle. And the best, worst part of the puzzle for me is actually when you dump all the pieces out and it's like, well, first we have to find all the corners and all
the
of
same
the edges
colors.
and all the same.
Yeah.
It's the best, worst part because in a way it's kind of the easiest part. But if you, Bill and Stacey come in and their scenario, Jesse, give us the nutshell. Where do they live and why would they come here?
So they live in Orem and they're wanting to just get out of the hustle once they retire.
The car culture
the
of
busyness.
Utah County.
And they got family down here.
Okay.
So, but they want to be in somewhere that's got the same temperature or weather as
Call it a
Orem.
climate.
Climate.
Which by the way, guys, is truthfully, it's high desert. I know that seems weird, or Utah County, but it's high desert.
But also a smaller community. Because I said, okay, well, what about Cedar City? But it's too big.
Isn't that interesting?
So they originally started asking me about Pine Valley. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised that actually Pine Valley is similar to Orem.
Yeah,
I thought it was a lot higher and colder, and
it's definitely higher. It's significantly higher,
but it's a similar temperature. Interestingly, okay. And so we started exploring southern Utah of what other communities could work, and we sent them on a drive. So yesterday they did a loop from St. George up through Cedar City. I think they did Parowan too, and then they came back and came across Highway 56 and around through Enterprise and back down. Mm-hmm. And then today they'll actually go up Cedar Canyon through Duck Creek up and then up Highway 89 to go home. Yeah. To really find what area is, for lack of a better term, speaking to them. Yeah. You know, what's attractive.
Here's what I find fascinating. These folks show up. Amazing. They bring their dog in. I love the dog. I'm standing here trying to talk to somebody, but I'm so distracted because I see the dog in our tabernacle room with Jesse. They're 2 years out from retirement. And they say, A, we don't want to live in Orem anymore. And B, we really kind of like the climate, but we don't want the crowds. C, even though we're 2 years out, maybe we'd buy the right home if we found it today. But here's what's fascinating.
They could, yeah.
And I'm not saying that they're doing this, but there's this resistance that buyers have and sellers, but buyers have to bring in the realtor and lender in on the front end. And the reason is really simple. In a nutshell, what is the
pressure?
Fear? Yeah.
They don't want to be pressured.
The fear is that there's pressure. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to assassinate our industry a little bit. And here's why. Most real estate agents and probably a lot of lenders lack the skill level to have a really dynamic and strategic and partnership-based dialogue with someone on the front end without making them feel pressure. The end. Like this is just a fact.
Yeah, and especially on the buyer side, talking to the lender, there's so many things that can be done to make their scenario better.
Yeah.
With the lender.
Yeah.
Like whether that's from, let's get your credit score up a little bit more higher. Let's do this and that so that it helps your debt to income ratio. Let's get you fully pre-qualified so that your offer is not quite, but almost as good as a cash offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And those are things you just can't know unless you're in the business.
Yeah. And so the thing is, and all of your points are accurate. So what I want to do is I want to validate the feeling of the buyer seller who's like, I don't know if I really want to talk to a realtor, lender, insurance agent, financial planner in the front end, because they might want to force me to do something. And this is where we in our profession have to do a better job in saying, look, I'm here as a partner. I'm here as a trusted advisor. I'm here as a guide. You're the hero in the story, right?
It's about you.
And here's the challenge. If you don't line these ducks up, put them in a row on the front end, you miss this opportunity. You're cruising along and suddenly you find your dream home. As a matter of fact, let's say you find your dream home and a killer deal. Well, if the ducks are in a row on the front end, Jesse, you have the ability to close in. How quickly could you actually close if you had your mortgage lined up?
2 weeks. With Guild Mortgage, I just have a client right now. They're fully pre-qualified. Once we find their home, we can close within 2 weeks.
But let's say that the home pops up. You've actually been putting off the dialogue with the lender, so you don't have an actual pre-approval in hand. Let's say that you've been playing the field with realtors. Mm-hmm. Playing the field is really simple. You've been on Zillow.com, Homes.com, Realtor.com, Redfin.com, 7 realtors websites. Hey, I don't want to commit to anybody, right?
Yep.
The home comes up. It's a killer deal. It's in the best neighborhood. And guess what happens? Somebody beats you to it.
Yep.
And so our position for you, if you're listening to the Real Estate Morning Drive this morning, guys, your timeline is our timeline. We want to help you through it, but I want to just impress upon you the importance and the actual value of you lining it all up way in advance. By the way, 2 years in advance.
I want to say something about just because of the current market we're in,
Yeah.
right? A lot of buyers think, well, the homes aren't selling fast. Here's what's funny though. The ones that are selling quick. And more than we would think are selling with multiple offers.
Yeah.
So the homes that are actually the best are selling not only fast, but there's competition.
Mm-hmm.
So could that be the home that you're looking at? And because you're not prepared, is it going to cost you the home, or
it could absolutely cost you?
You're not going to have the leverage that you could have.
Yeah, it could absolutely cost you. Now, something in real time, which won't be relevant, with a week from now. Interest rates are down by about 0.5% since 2 weeks ago. And people are asking us this question. Well, are rates going to drop this year? Well, I looked at every analysis yesterday, all of them,
okay,
all the names. They're expecting maybe we get to 6.3, 6.4 this year. Right now, rates are like probably 6.7, 6.8.
Yeah.
But they're down by about 0.5 point. A 0.5 point is a 5% increase in your borrowing power.
That's a lot.
It's a 5% increase in your borrowing power. I was talking with another one of our lenders, Tyler, and he said, look, this is like $250 a month in a payment on a typical mortgage. It's just come down. So in this scenario, Bill and Stacey come in again. They're looking 2 years ahead on their move. Now, listen, for what it's worth, I do want you to know, if you run Pine Valley, Utah average temps and then Orem, Utah average temps, there's a difference. I mean, there's a difference.
Not a lot.
So should we talk about
the climate's similar, though? That's what they were saying.
That's what they want, yeah.
Because I was surprised, too. I said, wait a minute. It's
Pine Valley's average July temp is 83. Orem's average July temp is 92. So that's 9 degrees difference. You need to know that.
Well, and we're talking winter.
Okay.
Is what specifically they were.
Let's talk.
I mean, I knew they were.
We're going to have this
because I questioned it too. I said, "Wait a minute, are you sure?"
All right, let's talk January 46 in Pine Valley, 40 in Orem. 6 degrees, not terrible.
So it's similar.
Not terrible.
Well, and in the summer, that's pretty. I mean, it's not 100 to 80.
Yeah.
It's enough for them to where it was similar. Because I questioned it too. Trust me. I said, "Wait a minute." Yeah. That doesn't seem right to me.
But here's why I like this kind of discussion. These are the actual issues of buyers and sellers, right? Guys, our show today is that it's not about the money. The real reason most people buy and sell homes, the real reason most people move. So this is a buyer scenario. And if you see yourself in the scenario of Bill and Stacey coming here from Orem, right? You can plan now. And if you can find a trusted advisor who will go to work for you in next week's show, right? And this is, oh my gosh, Jesse, this conversation with your client, her name is?
Anilse.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people in the world.
We're going to talk about next week at 8:35 a.m. A client of his that he actually said, don't sell the home. Mm-hmm. He helped her not sell the home. He literally sat yesterday and helped her line up all of the dominoes to move to Sedona and rent a home for a period. And we're going to talk about that later. But the reason this could work for her is because there's high trust, and she knows that Jesse isn't trying to get her to buy or sell anything, right? Let's shift gears. That was a buyer scenario. Let's jump to a seller scenario. We're hanging out. I'm conducting a sales training yesterday morning for the team. Our entire team is upstairs. We've got some people out of Ohio on Zoom training us on a system we use. This guy comes wandering up the stairs. He looks lost. Nice. Great guy. We're going to call him Bob.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. He walks up. Hey, sorry, am I interrupting a meeting? I'm like, who is this guy? This is kind of weird because I'm standing speaking and Taylor, our listing coordinator, is chatting with him. Well, this guy's been listening to our show for some time. He could be listening right now.
Probably, yeah.
And super incredible dude. And he walks up and says, can I chat with somebody? I've been listening to your show. And his scenario goes like this. He lives out east part of the county, clear out, like we're pushing like Hilldale, right? That far out there. And it would be, we'll keep him a little bit anonymous, but he's 45 minutes from downtown St. George. Puts his home on the market last year, doesn't sell, gets some lowball offers. Well, he's alone in a home on 1 acre. He verbatim, it's gathering, it sounds like something out of the Bible, but it's gathering weeds. And I think he said thistles. right? He actually used the word thistles. Yeah. It's gathering weeds. He's all alone. It's too big. It's too far away. It's too lonely. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is that his family are all here, including his adult daughter or son and spouse and children. He's driving back and forth 45 minutes to help them work through some complexities in their life. It doesn't work. Well, here's the pain point on top of pain point. What's his mortgage rate?
2.5 or something like that.
2.25.
Oh, even lower.
If you know somebody with a 2.25% mortgage, I'll give you $50 right now. Guys, 2.25%. And he walks in our office saying, listen, I got to sell this house. I've got to move somewhere more central. Is it about the money always, Jesse?
It's not. But here's what's hard, though, especially when you're on the seller side, is when you start trying to make this transition work and you've got a 2.25% interest rate and you've got such a low payment.
Oh, my gosh.
You get stuck in the money and forget that you were moving for a life reason. Because when you start looking at the other side and what it's going to cost, you get stuck in the money, even though it's not about the money. And sometimes it's a long, painful process to realize, okay, it's not.
I have a client right now.
It's not.
We are literally 8 or 10 days from closing. Had about $1,100, $1,200 in a home inspection request, repairs pop up.
Yep.
In a panic, she is elderly. She is going to live on the money she gets when she's done.
Yep.
The difference, and she spent about $2,000 on the front end getting the home ready. We're talking about the difference between $400,000 and $403,000.
Yeah.
And in a panic, and I have to bring her back over and over and over and over and over. Why are we selling this? Well, you're selling this because your husband passed away several years ago. You barely use the home. You actually need to live with family. You have you're a fall risk. You're a health risk. You're a loneliness risk. You can't go back to that home, right? So Jesse, the point being, Bob walks in our office yesterday and says, hey, I got a 2.25% mortgage, the mortgage no one wants to walk away from. And quite frankly, I really want to move for lifestyle reasons. And honestly, maybe he needs to move. We talk about wants versus needs. If your mental health and the emotional health of your family is at stake, I'd call it a need.
Yeah. But it's so easy to get trapped into the money part of it.
Yeah.
It's so easy. And that's true for all of us.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's so personal and it's so much money that we're dealing with. It just gets so wrapped up in there and we almost forget, wait a minute, that's not why I was moving.
Yeah. This is so incredibly accurate. And so if you find yourself in Bob's story, right? I don't want to move out of my mortgage rate, but quite honestly, this is where a lot of our downsizers fall. A lot of our downsizing clients, we specialize in helping downsizers right-size their life. I want you to really look hard at the actual reason you're moving, because I promise you it has very little to do with money, even if the move will dictate how much money you have to live on for X number of years, right? And if you're really healthy, that's a little more stressful. If you're really healthy and not that old, it's stressful, right? This is like if you guys know anything about reverse mortgages, they actually lend on reverse mortgages based on how old and or young and healthy the borrower is, right? Meaning the older they are,
the more money they'll give them.
The more money they'll give them because they're like, oh, look, these guys aren't really. But it's terrible, but it's true, right?
Yep.
So, guys, Jeremy Larkin here. We're sitting in Larkin Group headquarters, downtown St. George, corner of Tabernacle and University. Jesse Paul here with the Larkin Group, Keller Williams Realty. There is our legal disclaimer.
We're legal now.
Time. 5 minutes. So, Jesse, let's back up. The number one reason buyers don't integrate a good lender and a good realtor on the front end is what?
They don't want to feel pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the bottom line. They don't want to feel pressure. And the other part of it is they haven't connected how it will benefit them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they truly knew it would benefit them and there could be no pressure, it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah, we heard from a guy named Ryan Hansen who will be irrelevant to our listeners, but he's in the Midwest. He's a friend of mine. He's partnered with partnered with us through a company called Place, and he was sharing 2 days ago. If you're a buyer and seller, and you're kind of like, what do I do? Find yourself in his analysis. People make moves in life you and I know this, Jesse, to avoid pain or
get pleasure.
Yeah. We move toward pleasure, away from pain. And when you can't get clear about what the pain or pleasure is, you won't make any move.
Yeah.
And what will happen is you'll find yourself spinning. And when I say spinning, I mean psychologically spinning, emotionally spinning. This client I mentioned that's elderly whose home we're going to sell, and her life is 2 weeks away from being so good. I've watched her spin for 4 months. And when I say spin, I mean it's like I visibly watch it. It is a terrible. She'll stay up most of the night stressing.
Oh.
Can you imagine I can imagine what it's like, because I woke up at 3:15 this morning and I stewed about 4 or 5 items. And I think I finally fell asleep about 4:20, and I had a 5 a.m. alarm so I could go to Be Hot Yoga and didn't want to wake up. Is this classic? I snoozed for 3 minutes. I was like, Alexa, snooze for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Mal. Like what was that going to do? But Max came in, my dog, and then I loved on him for 3 minutes. So that was good.
Yeah.
But I was stewing for an hour. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go back to bed. I'm not going to get enough sleep. Imagine that my poor, sweet client, she stews like this every single day.
I can't even imagine it.
Well, and the stewing, Jesse, has been, do I do this or do I not do this, right? Mm-hmm. And here's the interesting part. Her greatest fear is letting go of the asset that she owned with her late husband. Think of the emotional anchoring there. And that she won't have enough money to live. Here's the interesting part. How much money is an empty home that she's paying utilities and property taxes and maintenance on? How much is that giving her to live on? Negative.
A lot less, yeah.
Isn't this interesting, right?
Yeah.
She's actually spending probably $500 per month, legitimately speaking, versus taking $400,000.
So within 6 months, she spent that $3,000 that she was worried about.
Correct. So the number one reason buyers don't bring in that lender and realtor is they're afraid of being pressured. And on the seller side, people do kind of the same thing. And I think the reason is because they're afraid of the financial implications. But remember, thinking about it more doesn't actually solve it.
Right. Actually starting to make a plan and going for it.
And the beauty is, in our final 90 seconds, Jesse, you just said it. Do you know if you wake up at 3:00 and you're stewing and you actually get out of bed and go and grab a journal or a notepad and write out what you're thinking? Have you noticed you're like, oh, wow, I feel better. Here are all my options.
Yeah.
Here are the pros and cons of the thing. This is what it means. This is what happens when you bring a trusted realtor in and say, look, can you not pressure us? Well, a good realtor in our final minute is going to say, well, I was never planning to press you. Let's lay all of the puzzle pieces out. Let's find the corners. Let's find the edges. Let's separate the colors, and let's start to assemble something. Jesse, how do people reach us if they want to have that conversation?
Just go right to Google and Google the Larkin Group, or you can go to gostgeorge.com.
Yeah.
GOSTGeorge.com.
Yep. Guys, visit us. We'd love to have that conversation. It is so fun to get into a strategic interaction with someone, even if you're a year or two out. Quite honestly, maybe you need to be a year or two out if you want to have your semblance of sanity.
Yeah.
Larkin Group, Google the Larkin Group, or visit us at gostgeorge.com. Jeremy, Larkin, Jesse Paul, over and out.
Thanks.